Okay, estudiantes, let's talk about adjetivos posesivos. In your own language, we're talking about words that show possession, such as my and your and his and her and our and your, otherwise known as y'all's and their. So in Spanish, these are pretty easy. You just have to do a little adjusting. My becomes me or mis, and it totally depends on how many things you own, how many things you possess. Do you possess one thing? Then use me. If you possess two things, use mis. Tu or tus? Yes, you've seen the word tu before. It had an accent over the u, and it means you. So with an accent, it means you. Without, it means your. They sound exactly the same. Now in Spanish, you have to remember, just like we have two ways to say you, we have two ways to say your. So if you were talking to someone who you would usually say the formal you to, then you would use the formal. But it's the same for his and her. So you just have to memorize one word, or actually two, su and sus. Does this person own one thing or two things? Su or sus? Okay, up here at our, it's not more complicated, just a few more choices. Our is very similar to we, which is nosotros. This is called nuestro. You have four choices: nuestro or nuestros. If the thing you own, like una casa, if you own a casa, it does not matter if you are a girl or boy, you're going to use nuestra. If you own more than one casas, you're going to use nuestras casas. This does not matter if the owner is a boy or a girl. It depends on what you own, just like in other adjectives that we have talked about. Remember that if we learn an adjective that ends in O, it usually will have four choices. Nuestro can become nuestros. If the item, the thing is feminine, nuestra becomes nuestras. Okay, just a little bit of practice. Okay, move down here to your, or in other words, y'all's. You're going to use su or sus. So look here. You only have two words to memorize, and it fits all of these things. So if you're not talking about my, or to your friend, your car, or our car, then the correct word is either su or sus. Okay? All right, let's practice these. For example, my dog would be mi perro. But if we wanted to make that dog's, you're going to have to make adjustments. I own more than one thing, so we're going to use mis. And perro becomes perros. Their house. So in other words, su casa. Notice there is more than one person here. You still use su because there is only one casa. Okay? This does not matter, does not care how many people own it. It matches this thing, the thing you own. So if we want to change their house to their houses, su is going to have to become sus. Casa is going to have to become casas. Okay, it's a pretty simple concept. You just have to practice it for it to become second nature. Okay, our bird. Think back, how do you say bird? I'm guessing pájaro. Sorry, I didn't put an accent in here. Pájaro. Pájaro. Now, think, how many birds are there? One. So whatever you put in this blank is going to be singular. This ends in O. So those four choices that you had for our, nuestro, nuestros, nuestra, nuestras, choose the one that sounds right. Nuestro. Nuestro. There it is. Nuestro pájaro. Nuestro pájaro. One bird, multiple owners. It does not, just because this is more than one person, you don't automatically use the plural. Okay? His boxes. Remember the word for box from the El Cuento de Humberto. And you get cajas. It ends in S, it ends in AS. But the AS is not important. The only thing that is important is that there's more than one. So his, you have two choices, su or sus. And you want to choose sus. That is all there is to it. You do have to memorize the me and the tu and the su, nuestro and su. Then you just have to practice using them as singular or plural. And when it comes to our, nuestro, nuestra, nuestros, nuestras. Okay? All right, keep practicing these, and we'll do some written work to make sure you have a little more practice on them.